Okay.
Hare Krishna. Shri Nityananda Chandram Patita Sharanadam Gauradam Tam Bhajeham Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giridhara Shirvasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudire nashta prayashva bhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati neshtiki Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24. The renunciation of Kardama Muni. Maitreya Uvacha Nirvedavadinim evam Manurduhitaram Munihi Dayaluhu Salinim Maha Shuklabhivyanhritam Smaran.
Recalling the words of Lord Vishnu, the merciful sage Kardamba replied as follows to Swambhanu Mani, daughter Dehuti, who was speaking words full of renunciation.
Arundhila, I think you may be muted. Huh?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Rishiruvacha Makhido Rajaputretam Atmanam Prati Anindite Bhagavam Steksharo Garbham Adurat Samprapatsate.
The sage said, "Do not be disappointed with yourself. O princess, you are actually praiseworthy. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead will shortly enter your womb as your son."
Dhrittavrtasi bhadram te damena niyamena cha tapodravina dhanaischa shraddhaya cheshwaram bhaja.
You have undertaken sacred vows. God will bless you. Hence, you should worship the Lord with great faith. Through sensory control, religious observance, austerities, and gifts of your money in charity.
Satvayāradhitah shuklo vitanvanmamakam yashah chetate hirdaya granthim odaryo brahma bhavanah.
The personality of Godhead, being worshipped by you, will spread my name and fame. He will vanquish the knot of your heart by becoming your son and teaching knowledge of Brahman.
Maitreya uvacha Devahutyapi sandesham Gauravena prajapatehe Samyak shraddhaya purusham Kutastham abhajadgurum.
Sri Maitreya said, Dehuti was fully faithful and respectful towards the direction of her husband, Kardama, who was one of the Prajapatis, or generators of human beings in the universe. O great sage, she thus began to worship the master of the universe. the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart.
Okay, so let's stop there. Surinder, would you like to please continue with the reading?
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Oh, thank you.
So we are reading
Okay, yeah, that's it.
chapter 24, the renunciation of Kardama. So Kardama's instructions, verses 1 to 5. Kardama pacifies Devahuti. He praises her good qualities and explains that the Lord himself, being worshipped by her, will soon become her son. He advised that she should worship the Lord with great faith through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of money in charity. The Lord will then appear and explain to her the knowledge of Brahman and cut the knot of attachment in her heart. Yes, so it is very exemplary. Here, Kardamuni is pacifying Devahuti.
Mm.
So there is Sanatan Dharma and Swadharma. Both we need to practice. We need to practice Sanatan Dharma, that is also known as Jaiva Dharma. And in our modern time, we say Krishna consciousness.
Mm.
Yeah, we should practice our Krishna consciousness. At the same time, we should practice Swadharma. Means that we need to accomplish all our social duties and responsibilities as well. Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion, he explains that we should not be neglectful in our ordinary dealings. So, if we want to become Rupanuga, that is follower of Rupa Goswami Maharaj, then it behooves that we need to follow his instructions. We cannot be a Rupanuga without following the instruction of Rupa Goswami Maharaj. So therefore, it is important that when the couples are Krishna conscious, husband and wife, and children are raised in Krishna consciousness, so, so it behooves that the husband needs to give support and address the concerns of the wife as well, because the wife, if she's a devotee, the husband should serve the wife because he's a Krishna devotee. And the wife also serves the husband because the husband is Krishna devotee. And both the husband and wife look after the Krishna conscious children. And this is all in harmony in Krishna consciousness. And this is very much appropriate. It is not that we should neglect family life and sort of be neglectful in our responsibilities and social duties towards our family members who are devotees of Krishna. There is one example in Chaitanya Charitamrita. One devotee wanted to renounce and leave home, leaving his elderly mother and father behind, and wanted to join Gauranga Mahaprabhu's movement. And Gauranga Mahaprabhu told him, no, you go back, your mother, father, they are devotees of Krishna. You should look after them, you should serve them. And this is very much appropriate. Yes. Hare Krishna, Nitai Gaur, Hare Gaur Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, very good. Very good. Agreed. So now it's up to verse
6 to 11.
Yeah. Good.
तस्यां बहुतिथे काले भगवान् मधुसूदनः कार्दमं वीर्यमापन्नो न्यन्येरिव दारुणी.
After many, many years, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madhusudana, the killer of the demon Madhu, having entered the semen of Kardama, appeared in Dehuti just as fire comes from wood in a sacrifice.
अवादयंस्तदा व्योम्नि वादित्राणि घना घनः गायन्ति तं स्म गन्धर्वा नृत्यन्त्याप्सरसो मुदा.
At the time of his descent on earth, demigods in the form of raining clouds sounded musical instruments in the sky. The celestial musicians, the Gandharvas, sang the glories of the Lord, while celestial dancing girls known as Apsaras, danced in joyful ecstasy.
पेतुः सुमनसो दिव्याः खेचरेरपवर्जिताः प्रसेदुश्च दिशः सर्वा अंभांसि च मनांसि च.
At the time of Lord's appearance, the demigods flying freely in the sky showered flowers, all the directions, all the waters, and everyone's mind became very satisfied.
तत्कर्दमाश्रमापदं सरस्वत्या परिश्रितम् स्वयंभुः शाकं ऋषिभिर्मरीच्यादिभिरभ्ययात्.
Brahma, the firstborn living being, went along with Marichi and other sages to the place of Kardama's hermitage, which was surrounded by the river Saraswati.
भगवन्तं परं ब्रह्म सद्वेनांसि न शत्रुहन् तद्वसङ्ख्यानविज्ञाप्यै जातं विद्वानजः स्वरात्.
Maitreya continued, O killer of the enemy, the unborn Lord Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge, could understand that a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his quality of pure existence, had appeared in the womb of Dehuti just to explain the complete state of knowledge known as Sankhya Yoga.
सभाजयन् विशुद्धेन चेतसा तच्चिकीर्षितम् प्रहर्षन्मानिरशुभिः कर्दमं चेदमभ्यधात्.
After worshipping the Supreme Lord with gladdened senses and a pure heart for his intended activities as an incarnation, Brahma spoke as follows to Kardama and Dehuti.
Hare Krishna. So, Kapila's descent, verses 6 to 11. Devahuti, respectfully and faithfully following her husband's advice, worshipped the Lord. After many years, the Supreme Lord, having entered the semen of Kardama, appeared in Devahuti's womb. The Lord is welcomed by the demigods, sounding musical instruments, dancing, and singing his glories. So here it mentioned Devahuti is very respectful. So Gauranga Mahaprabhu has advised that we should follow these principles to be humble, tolerant, and respectful, and not to expect honor in return. As the verse goes on, Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtanya Sadahari. And as the saying goes, charity begins at home. So we should at home, we should try to practice it among family members. The wife should be respectful towards the husband and follow the instructions and advice. And also the husband also should be respectful towards the wife and follow the advice and suggestions. So in this way, mutually caring for each other. In one of the prayers of Nashinga Kavacham, it is said that we pray that the whole world become Krishna conscious, and by becoming Krishna consciousness, everybody will be caring for the welfare of each other. Because this is the effect of becoming Krishna conscious. We become very caring, and respectful, and in a service mood, render service to the devotees. Vaishnavanam, Bhakata Sevaya Parama Siddhi. So service to the Vaishnavas is the highest perfection in our Krishna consciousness. So in this mood, Devahuti becomes the mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Muni. And being the mother of Kapila Muni means she is rendering devotional service to Kapila Muni in Vatsalya Ras. So that's a very high level of achievement in Krishna consciousness, to be able to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vatsalya Ras. But in our conditioned state, fallen conditioned state, very, very, very far away, for us, we need to take shelter of Gauranitai and always chant Hare Krishna as per the instructions of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And also Nityananda Prabhu has advised us to always chant the glories of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and chant the name of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and discuss the pastimes of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. In this way, taking shelter of the pastimes and instructions of Gauranitai, we will be in the safe process of practicing our Krishna consciousness. In this way, as it mentions the demigods of Vaishnavas, and they are exemplary, they are singing the glories of the Lord, as it is mentioned in this passage. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Very good. So up to number 19 now. Oops, wrong one. Sorry.
Brahmovacha Tvaya me pachitestat kalpita nirvyalikataha yanme sanjangrihe vakyam bhavan manadamanayan.
Lord Brahma said, "My dear son Kardama, since you have completely accepted my instructions without duplicity, showing them proper respect, you have worshipped me properly. Whatever instructions you took from me, you have carried out, and thereby you have honored me."
Etavati eva susrusa karyapittariputrakeih badham iti anumanyeta gauravena gurorvachaha.
Sons out to render service to their father exactly to this extent. One should obey the command of his father or spiritual master with due deference, saying, "Yes, sir."
Ima duhitarah satyas tava vatsa sumadhyamaha sargametam prabhavahi swair brahmahisyanti anekadha.
Lord Brahma then praised Kardama Muni's 9 daughters, saying, "All your thin-waisted daughters are certainly very chaste. I am sure they will increase their creation by their own descendants in various ways."
अतस्त्वं ऋषि मुखेभ्यो यथाशीलं यथा रुचि आत्मजाः परिधेहि अद्य विस्तृणीः यशो भुवि.
Therefore, today, please give away your daughters to the foremost of the sages, with due regard for the girls' temperaments and likings, and thereby spread your fame all over the universe.
वेदाहम् आद्यं पुरुषम् अवतीर्णं स्वमायया भूतानां सेवधिं देहं बिभ्राणं कपिलं मुने.
O Kardamba, I know that the original Supreme Personality of Godhead has now appeared as an incarnation by his internal energy. He is the bestower of all that is desired by the living entities, and he has now assumed the body of Kapila Muni.
ज्ञानविज्ञानयोगेन कर्मणामुदरञ्जतः हिरण्यकेशः पद्माक्षः पद्ममुद्रा पदाम्बुजः.
By mystic yoga and the practical application of knowledge from the scriptures, Kapila Muni, who is characterized by his golden hair, his eyes just like lotus petals, and his lotus feet, which bear the marks of lotus flowers, will uproot the deep-rooted desire for work in his material world.
एषमानविते गर्भं प्रविष्टः कैटभार्दनः अविद्यासंशयग्रन्थिं चिद्वागां विचरिष्यति.
Lord Brahma then told Dehuti, "My dear daughter of Manu, the same Supreme Personality of Godhead who killed the demon Katimba is now within your womb. He will cut off all the knots of your ignorance and doubt. Then he will travel all over the world."
अयं सिद्धगणादिसः साङ्ख्याचार्यै सुसम्मतः लोके कपिल इत्याख्यां गन्ताते कीर्तिवर्धनः.
Your son will be the head of all perfected souls. He will be approved by the acharyas expert in disseminating real knowledge, and among the people he will be celebrated by the name Kapila. As the son of Dehuti, he will increase your fame.
Very good.
So Brahma's instructions, verses 12 to 19. Brahma praises Kardama for following his instructions and states that he is an example of how the son, the disciple, follows the father or the guru. So this is very paramount. Among the 64 devotional activities mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami Maharaj, it is emphasized that to accept, to surrender at the lotus feet of the bona fide guru and to serve the guru and inquire submissively is very, very much paramount. Beginning, yes, initiation, and then we render service to Gurudev and follow instructions of Gurudev. This is very, very paramount in our beginning of our spiritual life. And it's also mentioned that the son obeys the instructions of father. So at home, the son follows the instructions of father and guidance, and the guru is considered as a spiritual father. So we follow instructions of Gurudev, and as it is described how it is done, we should say yes, sir. We should not argue. We should not be argumentative or refusing, etc. but very obediently and very humbly, we should follow the instructions of Father and our Gurudev as well. So in this way, this is very instructive. Just like in Ramayana, Lord Sri Ramachandra as Maryada Purushottam is very exemplary. He was to be coronated the king of Ayodhya the next day morning, but he was to go in exile in the forest for 14 years, and he obeyed the instructions. So he followed. He's exemplary in that sense. The Supreme Person of Godhead, Sri Ram, is giving example how to be a good son and obey the instructions of Father. Yes, Brahma instructs Kardama how to arrange the marriage of his 9 chaste daughters by offering them to the great sages. Brahma then explains to Devahuti the glories of her divine son, who will have golden hair and eyes like lotus petals, and he will travel throughout the world. So this is, yes, the glories of the Supreme Person of Godhead, Lord Kapila, is mentioned. And because Lord Kapila is a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, so he bears some of these transcendental features. So in the prayers of Queen Kunti, it says, Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankangraye. So it says some designs of lotus petals, in some lotus flower in the soul of the Supreme Person of Godhead. His eyes are as beautiful as lotus petals, and his navel is like a lotus as well. And the Supreme Person of Godhead, he wears a garland of lotuses. Like that, some description given about the beauty of the Supreme Person of Godhead is a reference to lotuses. Hare Krishna, Nitai Gaur Hari.
Thank you. And then now it's up to 25.
मैत्रेय उवाच तावास्वास्य जगत्सृष्टा कुमारैः सह नारदः हंसो हंसेन यानेन विधाम परमं ययो.
Sri Maitreya said, after thus speaking to Kardama Muni and his wife Dehuti, Lord Brahma, the director of the universe, who is also known as Hamsa, went back to the highest of the 3 planetary systems on his swan carrier with the 4 Kumaras and Narada.
गते सत्तधृतोक्षतः कर्दमस्तेन चोदितः यथोदितं स्वदुहितृः प्रादाद्विश्वसृजां ततः.
O Vidra, after the departure of Brahma, Kardama Muni, having been ordered by Brahma, handed over his 9 daughters, as instructed, to the 9 great sages who created the population of the world.
मरीचये कलां प्रादात् अनसूयामथात्रये श्रद्धाम् अङ्गिरसे यच्छत् पुलस्त्याय हविर्भुवम् पुलहाय गतिं युक्तां क्रतवे च क्रियां सतिम् ख्यातिं च भृगवे यच्छत् वसिष्ठायापि अरुन्धतिम्.
Kardama Muni handed over his daughter Kala to Marchi and another daughter Anusia to Arti. He delivered Srada to Angiriya and Havirubu to Plasutu. He delivered Gati to Phula, and chaste Karya to Karatu, Karthya to Bargu, and Arudhanti to Vasista.
अथर्वणे ददाच शान्तिं ययायन्यो वितन्यते विप्रर्षभान् कृतोद्वाहान् सदारान् समलालयत्.
He delivered Shanti to Atharva. Because of Shanti, sacrificial ceremonies are well performed. Thus he got the foremost Brahmanas married, and he maintained them along with their wives.
ततस्तऋषयः क्षतः कृतदारानि मन्त्र्यतम् प्रातिस्थन्नन्दिमापनाः स्वं स्वम् आश्रममण्डलम्.
Thus married, the sages took leave to Kardama and departed full of joy, each of his own hermitage, O Vidra.
Oh, that's good. Let's look at this part of it.
Hare Krishna. So, 9 daughters married, verses 20 to 25. Kardama gives his daughters in marriage to the 9 great sages, who then joyfully return to their hermitages. Kala to Marichi, Anasuya to Atri, Shraddha to Angira, Havirbhu to Pulasya, Gati to Pulaha, Kriya to Kratu, Thyati to Bhrigu, Arundhati to Vashishtha, Shanti to Atharva. So these are the marriage of the daughters of Kardama Muni with great sages. In this way, it is exemplary that one, like the father, has a responsibility and duty to get the daughters married to appropriate persons. So in this way, Kardama Muni, being Krishna conscious, he got his daughters married to great sages who are all well versed in Krishna consciousness. So this is very good example to follow. Hare Krishna, Nitai Gaur Hari. Thank you.
Now up to 34.
स चावतीर्णं त्रियुगम् आज्ञाय विभुधर्षभम् विविक्त उपसंगम्य प्रणम्य समभासत.
And Kardama Muni understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the chief of all the demigods, Vishnu, had descended. Kardama approached him in a settled place, offered obeisances, and spoke as follows.
अहो पापचमानानां निरये स्वैरमङ्गलैः कालेन भूयसा नूनं प्रसीदन्ति ह देवताः.
Kardama Muni said, "Oh, after a long time, the demigods of this universe have become pleased with the suffering souls who are in material entanglement because of their own misdeeds."
बहुजन्म विपक्वेन सम्यग् योगसमाधिना द्रष्टुं यतन्ते यतयः शून्यागारेषु यत्पदम्.
After many births, mature yogis, by complete trance in yoga, endure in settled places to see the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
स एव भगवानद्य हेलनं न गणय्यनः गृहेषु जातो ग्राम्याणां यः स्वानां पक्षपोषणः.
Not considering the negligence of the ordinary householders like us. That very same Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in our homes just to support his devotees.
स्वीयं वाक्यं ऋतं कर्तुम् अवतीर्णोऽसि मे गृहे चिकीर्षुर्भगवान् ज्ञानं भक्तानां मानवर्धनः.
Kardama Muni said, "You, my dear Lord, who are always increasing the honor of your devotees, have descended in my home just to fulfill your word and disseminate the process of real knowledge."
तानि एव तेभिरूपाणि रूपाणि भगवंस्तव यानि यानि च रोचन्ते स्वजनानामरूपिणः.
My dear Lord, although you have no material form, you have your own innumerable forms. They truly are your transcendental forms, which are pleasing to your devotees.
त्वां सूरिभिस्तद्वा भभूत्सयाद्धा सदाभिवादार्हनपादपीठम् ऐश्वर्यवैराग्ययशो बबोध वीर्यश्रियापूर्तम् अहं प्रपद्ये.
My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the reservoir that always deserves to receive worshipful homage from all great sages, eager to understand. You are full in opulence, renunciation, transcendental fame, knowledge, strength, and beauty, and therefore I surrender myself unto your lotus feet.
परं प्रधानं पुरुषं महान्तं कालं कविं त्रिवृतं लोकपालम् आत्मानुभूत्यानुगता प्रपञ्चं स्वच्छन्दशक्तिं कपिलं प्रपद्ये.
I surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, descended in the form of Kapila, who is independently powerful and transcendental, who is the Supreme Person and the Lord of the sum total of matter and the element of time, who is fully cognate maintainer of all the universes under the three modes of material nature, and who observes the material manifestation after their dissolution.
आस्माभिपृच्छेद्यपतिं प्रजानां त्वयावतीर्णौताप्तकामः परिव्रजत्पादविमाश्रितोऽहं चारिष्ये त्वां हृदियुजान्विशोकः.
Today, I have something to ask from you, who are the Lord of all living entities. Since I have now been liberated by you from my depths of my Father, and since all my desires are fulfilled, I wish to accept the order of an itinerant mendicant, renouncing this family life. I wish to wander about free from limitation, thinking always of you in my heart.
Hare Krishna. Kardama worships Kapila, verses 26 to 34. Kardama, understanding the Supreme Lord had descended, approaches Lord Kapila and surrenders to him. Worshipping him with sweet words, he praises Kapila as a supreme person, full with all opulences, all-powerful, and the Lord of time and the universe. Kardama requests permission to renounce the world. Why does he do that? To follow Vedic injunctions that one should leave home at a certain age, first. Second is to avoid the mixture of Dasya, Vatsalya, as he was fixed in his service as a servant. Third, Lord will make him renounce anyway. Why not renounce immediately? And the fourth one is most important, is to worship and remember the Lord constantly. Yes, so Kardamuni, he mentions in one of the verses, he says like, one of the verses starts with Bahunam. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is one verse similar. It says, Bahunam Janmanamante, Jnanavan Maha Prapadyante, Vasudevam Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So after many, many births, one who realizes that Vasudeva, Krishna, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we should surrender unto Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So this is a goal of life, like that. So he surrenders unto Krishna. So he is one of the, it is such a great soul, is very rare. It mentions in Bhagavad Gita. So here Kardamuni is such a great soul, and he surrenders at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Dev, and offers prayers in sweet words. So in this way, this is exemplary. Hare Krishna, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Thank you.
Ooh, very good. And up to text 14 now.
श्रीभगवानुवाच मया प्रोक्तं हि लोकस्य प्रमाणं सत्यलौकिके अथा जनीमया तुभ्यं यदवोचमृतं मुने.
The personality of Godhead Kapila said, whatever I speak, whether directly or in scriptures, is authoritative in all respects for the people of the world. O Muni, because I told you before that I would become your son, I have descended to fulfill this truth.
एतन्मे जन्म लोकेस्मिन् मुमुक्षूणां दुराशयात् प्रसङ्ख्यानाय तद्वानां सम्मत्तायात्मदर्शने.
My appearance in this world is especially to explain the philosophy of Sankhya, which is highly estimated for self-realization by those desiring freedom from the entanglement of unnecessary material desires.
एष आत्मा पथो व्यक्तो नष्टः कालेन भूयसा तं प्रवर्तयितुं देहम् इमं विद्धि मया भृतम्.
This path of self-realization, which is difficult to understand, has now been lost in the course of time. Please know that I have assumed this body of Kapila to introduce and explain this philosophy to human society again.
गच्छ कामं मया पृष्टो मयि सन्न्यस्तकर्मणा जित्वा सुदुर्जयं मृत्युम् अमृतत्वाय मां भज.
Now being sanctioned by me, go as you desire, surrendering all your activities to me, conquering insurmountable death. Worship me for eternal life.
Mam atmanam swayam jyotihi sarvabhuta ghuyashayam atmani evatmana viksha vishoko bhayam richashi.
In your own heart, through your intellect, you will always see me, the Supreme Self-Effulgent, soul dwelling within the hearts of all living entities. Thus you will achieve the state of eternal life, free from all limitations and fear.
Matra adhyatmikim vidyam samannim sarvakarmanam vittarisyaya chasho bhayam chatirasi chatitarishati.
I shall also describe this sublime knowledge, which is the door to spiritual life, to my mother, so that she also can attain perfection of self-realization, ending all reactions to fruitive activities. Thus she also will be freed from all material fear.
Very good. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Kapila blesses Kardama, verses 35 to 40. Kapila said that he appeared as Kardama's son because he had promised this previously. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:21-32, in order to revive knowledge of Sankhya, which has been lost in time. Kapila sanctions Kardama's desire to wander as a mendicant to perfect his spiritual life and become fearless by surrendering to him. He also promises to instruct his mother in Sankhya philosophy, so she can also become self-realized and become free from fear. So, yes, so Krishna consciousness is sublime. And in Bhagavad Gita it describes Susukham Kartum Avyayam. Krishna consciousness is performed very happily, Susukham. And therefore, by here Lord Kapila says that he gives, revived the knowledge of Sankhya. And he also imparted the knowledge, the transcendental knowledge, to his mother, Devahuti. So Krishna Katha is when the knowledge is coming from the Lord, this is called Krishna Katha. So by hearing Krishna Katha, all our material miseries, miserable conditions such as fear, lamentation, all gets vanquished by the grace of Guru and Gauranga, Krishna. Yes, Hare Krishna. So we continue.
Very good.
Maitreya uvacha evam samudhitastena kapilena prajapatihi dakshinikritya tam preto vanam eva jagamaha.
Sri Maitreya said, thus when Kardama Muni, the procurator of human society, was spoken to in fullness by his son, Kapila, he circumlated him, and with a good, pacified mind, he at once left for the forest.
Vratam sa ashthito monam atmaika sarano munihi nihisango vyacharakshonim anagnir aniketanaha.
The sage Kardamba accepted silence as a vow in order to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and take shelter of him exclusively. Without association, he traveled over the surface of the globe as a sannyasi, devoid of any relationship with the fire or shelter.
Mano brahmani yunyano yattat sad asatah param गुणावभासे विगुण एकभक्त्यानुभाविते.
He fixed his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parabrahma, who is beyond cause and effect, who manifests the three modes of material nature, who is beyond those three modes, and who is perceived only through unfailing devotional service.
निराहङ्कृतिर्निर्ममश्च निर्द्वन्द्वः समदृक् स्वदृक् प्रत्यक् प्रशान्तधीर्धिरः प्रशान्तोर्मेरिबोधधिः.
Thus he gradually became unaffected by the false ego of material identity and became free from material affection, undisturbed, equal to everyone, and without duality. He could indeed see himself also. His mind was turned inward and was perfectly calm, like an ocean, unagitated by waves.
वासुदेवे भगवती सर्वज्ञे प्रत्यज्ञात्मनि परेण भक्तिभावेन लब्धात्मा मुक्तबन्धनः.
He thus became liberated from conditioned life and became self-situated in transcendental devotional service to the personality of Godhead. Vasudeva, the omniscient super soul within everyone.
आत्मानं सर्वभूतेषु भगवन्तम् अवस्थितम् अपश्यात् सर्वभूतानि भगवती अपि चात्मनि.
He began to see that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is seated in everyone's heart and that everyone is existing on him because he is super soul of everyone.
इच्छाद्वेषविहीनेन सर्वत्र समचेतसा भगवद्भक्तियुक्तेन प्राप्ता भागवती गतिः. हरे कृष्ण.
Freed from all hatred and desire, Kardama Muni, being equal to everyone because of discharging uncontaminated devotional service, ultimately attained the path back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Thank you.
So this is like Kardama attains perfection, verses 41 to 47. Kardama Muni circumambulates the Lord, and with a pacified mind, he leaves for the forest. Wandering silently in the forest, practicing pure devotional service, he became free from false ego, material affection, and achieved self-realization. Kardama sees the Lord as follows: the Supreme Lord in everyone's heart, Shirodakshaya Vishnu, saw everyone existing on him, Karanadakshaya Vishnu. He finally goes back to Godhead, as foretold by the Lord in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:21-31. Very nice. Yes, it explains how Kardama Muni is practicing Krishna consciousness. He managed to perform Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service, free from contaminations. Generally, we should try to aspire to be able to perform pure devotional service, Shuddha Bhakti. And Shuddha Bhakti characteristics is that it should be free from material sense gratification, and it should be free from the Mayavad concept of philosophy, Mayavad philosophy, and also free from desire for acquiring mystic power.
Mm.
and only to serve Hari Guru Vaishnava, to serve and please Hari Guru Vaishnava, always like that. And the main, the summum bonum of this instruction is that we should always remember Krishna and we should never forget Krishna. And this was exemplified by Kardama Muni. Hare Krishna, Nitai Gaur Hari. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yes, wonderful chapter, because it shows how Krishna consciousness is so practical. One can be a householder, like Kardama Muni, but of course he was a great sage, and still achieve perfection, especially when your son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he went back to Godhead. So this is a very practical example of how living in this world, but yet attaining the spiritual world. So thank you so much, Surinder. Thank you, Anandalila. Thank you, Kaushalya Maji. Any questions, any comments? Otherwise, we can continue next Monday with chapter 26 or 25. 25. And Lina, thank you for the darshan. Very beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji. All Krishna's mercy.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. So, okay, let's stop there.
Thank you, Prabhu, and thank
Hare
you, all
Krishna.
devotees. Hare Krishna, Nitai
Hare
Gaur Hari.
Krishna.
Bhagavatam ki
Thank
jai.
you,
Hare
everybody.